He wasn't a scientist, a tycoon, or a born success. He was a broke salesman with no credentials and 2 failed sodas behind him. Yet during one of the darkest periods in American history, he created a drink with a strange formula and an even stranger name, one that would go on to generate billions. This is the untold story of how Charles Leiper Grigg, armed with nothing but persistence and instinct, built one of the most iconic soft drinks in the world. You know the brand. But the man who created 7-Up, almost no one remembers how close he came to vanishing before turning an energy drink into billions. Salesman with no safety net. Charles Leiper Grigg was born on May 11, 1868. In Price's Branch, Missouri, a small rural town with limited opportunities. He received only a basic education and had no formal business or scientific training. From a young age, he was expected to work. Grigg started out printing ads for local papers and later took on various sales roles, including hardware and ad space. These jobs didn't pay much, but they gave him first-hand exposure to how products were marketed and how consumer choices were influenced by messaging, not just quality. Grigg developed a skill for understanding what people wanted to hear and how they wanted it delivered. In his early 20s, Grigg moved to St. Louis, Missouri, a growing hub of commerce, manufacturing, and innovation. There, he found work as an advertising salesman, a job that suited his persuasive abilities. He was not part of the upper business class, and he had no connections in the beverage industry. What he had was grit, a sharp mind for product appeal, and a desire to create something that was his. While writing ads for others, Grigg became increasingly aware that he was building other people's empires. He began studying which products sold and which didn't, learning the patterns of market behavior. St. Louis at the time was a hotspot for soda innovation. Bottling plants were expanding, and flavored drinks were becoming popular beyond pharmacies. Grigg realized that beverages had one of the highest consumer return rates. People didn't just buy a drink once, they bought it repeatedly if they liked it. This insight stayed with him. He was not yet an inventor, nor was he wealthy or known, but he was quietly preparing to break into one of the most competitive consumer industries in America. His first taste of success and failure. Charles Grigg's first real breakthrough came in 1919. After years of working behind the scenes in advertising and sales, he joined the Vess Soda Company, a St. Louis-based beverage business that was looking to expand its offerings. Recognizing the rising popularity of flavored sodas, Grigg developed a carbonated orange drink he named Whistle. Unlike many beverages at the time, Whistle had a sharp, distinct flavor that wasn't overly sweet. It stood out from competitors and quickly gained traction in the local market. Grigg had successfully created a product that resonated with consumers and drove profits. However, despite his role in developing Whistle, Grigg didn't own the formula or control the company's direction. The rights to the drink belonged entirely to Vess, which was run by Silas B. Mason and other executives who viewed Grigg more as an employee than a partner. As Whistle became more profitable, internal conflicts escalated. Grigg wanted a larger role and more control over the product he had created. Management disagreed. Tensions reached a breaking point, and Grigg was forced out of the company. He left with no rights, no royalties, and no legal claim to the drink he had invented. This failure hit hard. It was his first major success, and he had lost it overnight. But rather than give up, Grigg used the experience to fuel a new determination. He understood now that talent alone wasn't enough. Ownership and control were essential. He vowed that his next creation would be fully his. Though he was unemployed and financially strained, Grigg had learned a crucial lesson: never innovate under someone else's name. That conviction led him to begin again, this time as a co-founder with complete control over his next product. The Howdy Experiment. After his departure from Vess, Charles Grigg set out to build a company of his own. He partnered with Frank Gladney, a seasoned bottler with experience in soda distribution, and Edmund G. Ridgway, a businessman who brought financial backing. Together, they formed the Howdy Company, named after their first product, Howdy Orange. Grigg had learned from Whistle's success and poured his efforts into creating a drink that was bright, flavorful, and positioned to compete directly with Orange Crush, then the dominant name in orange sodas. The formula was well crafted. It had a balanced citrus profile, appealing carbonation, and attractive branding. However, breaking into the soda market was more difficult than Grigg expected. Orange Crush had national recognition, established bottling contracts, and marketing muscle. Howdy struggled to secure distribution beyond a handful of local bottlers. Grigg and his partners faced mounting production costs, tepid sales, and skepticism from retailers who questioned the need for another orange soda on already crowded shelves. Grigg was frustrated, but not defeated. He observed a shift in consumer preferences. People were increasingly drawn to lighter, crisper beverages, something that offered refreshment without being overly sugary. This pattern caught his attention. Rather than push harder in a saturated orange soda market, Grigg began experimenting with a lemon-lime flavor blend. He believed that if he could find the right formula, something both unique and broadly appealing, he could establish a new category altogether. This was not a minor adjustment. It was a full creative pivot, a calculated departure from what had already failed twice. While others doubled down on colas and fruit sodas, Grigg quietly returned to the lab, focused on crafting something different. His next invention wouldn't just be another drink, it would disrupt the entire industry. A strange formula with a long name. Working behind the scenes at the Howdy Company, Charles Grigg began formulating a lemon-lime beverage that was unlike anything on the market. He experimented with natural citrus oils, blending lemon and lime extracts to create a flavor profile that was sharp, clean, and refreshing, without being heavy or overly sweet. But flavor alone wasn't enough. Grigg wanted the drink to stand out both in taste and in effect. Drawing from his understanding of patent medicines, he added a small dose of lithium citrate, a compound then legally used in tonics to improve mood and reduce anxiety. The result was a fizzy, citrus-forward drink with a subtle therapeutic twist. In October 1929, just 2 weeks before the stock market crash, Grigg launched it under the name Bib Label Lithiated Lemon Lime Soda. The branding was confusing and difficult to market, but the drink itself generated curiosity. In a time of rising anxiety and national economic collapse, consumers found the product's calming claims oddly appealing. Pharmacists and bottlers who had struggled to sell traditional tonics were intrigued by Grigg's blend of flavor and function. Though sales were slow at first, word of mouth spread. The drink was marketed as uplifting and stabilizing, without the bitterness of medicine or the heaviness of cola. Grigg knew he had created something that filled a unique space, a beverage with emotional value during a time of national distress. Despite the overwhelming financial turmoil of the Great Depression, Grigg held firm. He adjusted the formula, listened to feedback, and refined the drink's production. The only major problem was its name. It was too long, too clinical, and out of step with the brand's emerging appeal. Grigg realized that to go national, he didn't just need a better product, he needed a better name. 7-Up is born, and America takes notice. By the early 1930s, Charles Grigg made a decisive move to rebrand his increasingly popular lemon-lime drink. The original name, Bib Label Lithiated Lemon Lime Soda, was a marketing obstacle. It was awkward, technical, and didn't match the simplicity or refreshment the drink offered. Grigg and his team streamlined it to 7UP, a short, catchy name that consumers could easily remember and repeat. Though the meaning of the name was never officially confirmed, theories circulated. It referred to the drink's original 7-ounce bottle, the 7 ingredients, or even a nod to lithium's atomic mass. Regardless of its origin, the rebranding worked. With a new identity and growing consumer recognition, 7-Up began spreading beyond the Midwest. Its appeal rested on clarity, both in taste and appearance. Unlike colas, which were dark, sugary, and caffeinated, 7UP was colorless, caffeine-free, and perceived as clean. It offered a refreshing break from traditional sodas and aligned with a growing demand for simpler, more wholesome products. Grigg marketed 7-Up as more than just a drink, it was part of a lifestyle. Early advertisements emphasized family, health, and purity. Campaigns featured images of mothers and children, smiling over glasses of 7-Up, reinforcing its position as a safe, everyday soda. In contrast to the bold, masculine branding of colas, 7UP carved a niche rooted in trust and consistency. The beverage also benefited from its therapeutic reputation. Although lithium would later be removed from the formula, its initial inclusion helped position 7UP as subtly beneficial, something that not only quenched thirst, but gently lifted spirits. Grigg had found the sweet spot between novelty and familiarity. With the new name gaining traction and bottling contracts expanding, 7-Up transitioned from a regional curiosity to a national contender. It was no longer just a survival project, it was a rising force in the American beverage market. From regional soda to cultural icon. As 7UP's distribution widened through the 1940s, the brand transitioned from a niche lemon-lime soda to a household staple. Bottlers across the United States embraced it for its dependable sales and broad consumer appeal. During World War II, its caffeine-free formula gave it an edge when wartime rationing and health-conscious messaging made cola alternatives more attractive. The drink's positioning as pure and wholesome resonated with families seeking a safe and refreshing option, especially during years of uncertainty and rationed goods. In 1948, a pivotal change occurred. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration prohibited the use of lithium in food and beverage products. Charles Grigg's original formula had included lithium citrate, a mood-stabilizing agent that had been legal and popular in health tonics. By this time, however, 7UP had built a loyal customer base independent of its medicinal additive. The lithium was quietly removed from the formula with no noticeable decline in sales, proving the drink's appeal went far beyond its pharmacological origins. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, 7UP leaned into strong advertising and family-centric branding. It was featured in national magazines, radio spots, and eventually television, where it was marketed as the drink for all ages. Clear bottles and green labeling became visual trademarks. Grigg's team pushed slogans like, "You like it, it likes you," reinforcing both emotional and physical refreshment. By the late 1960s, 7UP was performing strongly enough to draw the interest of major corporations. In 1969, it was acquired by Westinghouse Electric Corporation, which provided the brand with expanded resources and marketing reach. This support would prove crucial in the decade to follow. Then, in the 1970s, 7UP launched its boldest and most memorable marketing effort, the Uncola campaign. With rising pressure from Coca-Cola and Pepsi, 7UP needed to stand apart. Backed by larger advertising budgets under Westinghouse ownership, the brand redefined itself by promoting everything it wasn't. It wasn't brown. It wasn't syrupy. It wasn't a cola. Instead, it was clean, crisp, and different. The campaign used vibrant, playful visuals, featuring lemons, limes, and tropical settings to highlight the drink's distinctiveness. The tone was rebellious and youthful, mirroring the spirit of the decade. By calling itself the Uncola, 7UP connected with a generation eager to challenge norms and try something new. It became more than a soda. It became a cultural statement. The Uncola campaign didn't just help 7UP stay visible, it made the brand iconic. Its fresh identity brought new attention, increased market share, and greater loyalty among younger consumers. It also laid the foundation for what came next. 7UP's transformation into a billion-dollar brand under the control of some of the world's biggest corporations. The corporate ladder to billions. Under Westinghouse, 7UP gained access to larger advertising budgets and broader distribution infrastructure. Yet the real shift occurred in 1978, when the company was acquired by Philip Morris, the tobacco and packaged goods giant. With deeper financial resources and national marketing reach, Philip Morris streamlined operations, expanded bottling agreements, and scaled 7UP's presence in supermarkets, fast food chains, and vending machines. By the early 1980s, 7UP had become a core product in a growing consumer empire. In 1986, Philip Morris divested the beverage unit, selling it to private investment firm Hicks & Haas, which in 1988 engineered the merger of 7UP with Dr. Pepper, forming the Dr. Pepper 7UP Company. This consolidation created the third largest soft drink maker in the United States, behind only Coca-Cola and PepsiCo. The combined company brought operational efficiencies, national bottling networks, and increased market leverage. Over time, the business split further. PepsiCo acquired international rights to 7UP, distributing it in Asia, Europe, and Latin America. In the U.S., the brand remained under what is now known as Keurig Dr. Pepper, part of a multi-billion-dollar beverage portfolio worth $46 billion as of 2025. What began as a Depression-era drink created by a struggling salesman had become a globally distributed brand valued in the billions. The man was gone, but his invention had scaled into corporate history. Legacy of a man who sold flavor and belief. Charles Liper. Grigg died in 1940, just as 7UP was gaining national momentum. He did not live to see his drink on supermarket shelves across the world, nor witness the billion-dollar mergers and global licensing deals that would follow. Yet every milestone the brand reached was rooted in the business philosophy Grigg had developed through hardship. Own your idea, adapt when needed, and sell not just a product, but a feeling. He was not a chemist by training, nor a wealthy industrialist. He was a self-taught advertiser who trusted his instincts and understood people. Grigg's core belief that consumers would respond to simplicity clarity, and emotional value shaped everything about 7-Up. From its early positioning as a nerve-calming refreshment during the Depression to its later role as the "uncola" that rejected industry conformity, the drink carried his original vision forward: be different and own that difference. His life story is rarely taught in business schools, yet it stands as a classic American entrepreneurial narrative. He failed twice. He lost ownership of one product and watched another stall in the market, but he kept building. And when he launched a product nobody expected to succeed, a lemon-lime soda with a pharmaceutical twist, he created a foundation that would grow into a global brand. Today, 7UP is produced in dozens of countries, appears in advertising across languages, and is part of one of the world's most valuable beverage portfolios. Its longevity is not just a result of clever marketing or acquisition strategy. It is the legacy of a man who refused to let setbacks define him, who turned a modest skill set into lasting influence, and who believed that even the most ordinary products could uplift people if presented with purpose. Grigg didn't just invent a drink, he proved belief can be bottled. What do you think about 7-Up? Tell us in the comments below. Thank you for watching. See you next time.